On Global TV News Prime, President Bola Tinubu appoints new commissioner for Nigerian Law Reforms Commission. All Progressive Congress takes National Executive Council meeting to Aso Villa. In business, Central Bank of Nigeria retains its interest rate at 27.5%. And on the foreign scene, United Kingdom government reveals details to cut foreign aid. And in sport, President Bola Tinubu hails the Super Falcons for reaching Women's African Cup of Nations final. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Ramsey Enoch. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times 276. President Bola Tinubu has written to the Senate requesting the confirmation of Professor Yusuf Mohammed Yusuf as a commissioner of the Nigerian Law Reform Commission. Topsy Gimba has the details.
The request, conveyed in a letter addressed to the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and read during plenary session, was made in line with Section 21 of the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act 2022. According to President Tinubu, the nomination of Professor Yusuf is to replace Professor Fatima Alkali, who was earlier nominated on June 12, 2025, but failed to appear before the Senate Screening Committee and confirmation. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has referred the nomination to the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters for further legislative action.
Request for confirmation of appointment of a commissioner of the Nigerian Law Reform Commission in accordance with the provisions of Section 2.1 of the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act 2022. I'm pleased to present for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of Professor Yusuf Mohammed Yusuf as Commissioner of the Nigerian Law Reform Commission. Distinguished Senate President, distinguished Senators, Professor Yusuf Mohammed Yusuf is to replace Professor Fatima Alkali, whose nomination was earlier presented through my letter dated 2nd June 2025, copy attached, but did not appear for screening and for confirmation by the Senate. Whilst I hope that the Senate will consider and confirm the nomination of Professor Yusuf Mohammed Yusuf in an expeditious manner, please accept, distinguished Senate Presidents and distinguished Senators, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President, Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The committee is expected to review the nomination and report back to the Senate with its recommendations in due course. Topsy Gimba, reporting for Global Television News.
The Speaker of the Nigerian House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has reaffirmed the commitment of the 10th House of supporting regional development commissions across the country's 6 geopolitical zones. Represented by his deputy Benjamin Kalu at the inauguration of key House committees, the Speaker called for robust legislative oversight and stronger collaboration to ensure the commissions deliver meaningful impact. Our National Assembly correspondent, Anita Patrick, reports.
It was a significant moment at the National Assembly as the House of Representatives formally inaugurated committees on the South-South, Southwest and North-Central Development Commissions. Representing the Speaker, Deputy Speaker Honorable Benjamin Kalu noted that regional commissions are more than bureaucratic institutions that are vital links between local needs and national policy. He stressed that the success of the commissions must be measured by the real outcomes, especially for youth, women, and rural communities. He emphasized the need for equity, accountability, and collaboration across all levels of governance.
We must ensure that these development commissions become platforms for action, not bureaucracy. The decisions you take today must be guided by both present demands and future consequences. We are not just planning for today. We are laying the foundation for the generations that will come after us. The president is asking all of you who are going to be in these commissions, where do you want to see your region in the next 5 years?
The newly inaugurated chairman of the South, South, Southwest and North Central Development Commissions say the inauguration will bring about the development of the region through improved infrastructure, advocacy for better funding, agricultural expansion, healthcare, oil spill remediation, youth empowerment, and strengthening of security architecture.
As clearly articulated in Section 8, Article 1, Paragraph A to J of the South-South Development Commission Act 2025, our key focus area include the remediation of oil-polluted environment, youth empowerment, access to quality healthcare and education, renewable energy solution, climate resilience, and the creation of sustainable livelihood.
Today's inauguration is not just a ceremonial, it's a bold reaffirmation of our collective commitment to addressing the unique developmental needs of our respective regions. Each of these commissions was created with a clear mandate to serve as an instrument for regional transformation, post-crisis rehabilitation, economic rejuvenation, and sustainable growth.
The inauguration of the committee today marks a new chapter in our collective effort to drive sustainable growth, infrastructural development, and socio-economic transformation in the southwest region of Nigeria. Our mandate is extrapolated thus to ensure that the Southwest Development Commission fulfills its purpose of addressing developmental gaps.
The newly inaugurated committees are expected to work closely with state governments, civil society groups, and development partners to implement homegrown solutions that reflect the realities on ground. Annie T. Patrick, Global Television News.
The Nigerian Senate holds a special session in honor of the late former President Muhammadu Buhari today, Wednesday. President of the Senate, Councilor Akpabio, says the tribute session will reflect on his legacy and contributions to national development following his recent demise. Recalled that last week the Federal Executive Council, that is FEC, held a special session in honor of the late ex-president. In a bold move aimed to restoring confidence in Nigeria's public institutions, the House of Representatives has taken a significant legislative step by passing for first reading a bill that seeks to ban public and civil servants, along with their immediate families, from using private schools and hospitals. Annie Patrick reports that the bill also aimed to curb the growing trend of medical and educational tourism that continues to drain the nation's resources. Now the report.
The bill titled Private Institutions and Healthcare Services, Take 2. The bill titled Private Institutions and Healthcare Service Providers Prohibition Bill 2025 is sponsored by Honorable Amobi Oga. Its objective is to make public servants lead by example by patronizing the very public institutions they are tasked with supporting and funding.
Because of the patronage of the private schools and healthcare services, our institutions of learning and medical care have become a shadow of themselves, with little or no infrastructural development and falling standard of services. We must of necessity restore confidence in our government institutions, like public schools and government hospitals.
Oga recalled that Nigeria's founding leaders, the likes of Ahmadu Bello, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and Obafemi Awolowo were products of public schools. He decried what he called the unwholesome trend of today's leaders abandoning public institutions, thereby eroding public trust. In his address, the lawmaker pointed out startling figures saying over 1.3 trillion naira was allocated to healthcare in the 2024 budget, yet Nigerians spend over $1 billion annually on medical treatments abroad. Similarly, in just the first quarter of 2024, 38.17 million was spent on foreign education, a continuation of the $218.87 million spent the previous year.
It does not speak good of our country that our presidents and notable government functionaries are seen to be going abroad for medical treatment and even dying in the process, now turning Nigeria a country for burial.
Oga argues that the abandonment of public hospitals and schools have turned them into shadows of what they once were. With deteriorating infrastructure and declining service quality, the bill now awaits further legislative action as it proceeds to second reading. Annie T. Patrick, Global Television News.
The suspended senator representing Kogi Central Senatorial District, Natasha Akpotiaduahen, has vowed to drag the leadership of the Senate before the appellate court after she was barred from accessing the National Assembly complex. Affirming Akpotiaduahen told journalists that she will consult her legal team immediately to kickstart the process, stressing that it will be a violation of the recent judgment calling for her reinstatement. The decision came after she was denied entry to the National Assembly despite a court order that faulted the long suspension slapped on her. A new national chairman of the ruling All Progressive Congress may emerge on Thursday during its National Executive Committee meeting in Abuja. In June, former Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje resigned as the party's national chairman, citing health issues. Thereafter, Deputy National Chairman Ali Dalori was installed as the acting national chairman of the party. You're watching the live broadcast of News Prime. When News Prime returns, CBN retains interest rate of 27.5% has side of this break. Details coming shortly, plus business and foreign stories on the other side of this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now let's take you to the world of business, where the Central Bank of Nigeria has retained its benchmark interest rate, monetary policy rate at 27.5%, citing underlying pressure on prices of goods and services, as well as continued global uncertainties. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Olayemi Cardoso, disclosed this while briefing the press at the end of the 31st Monetary Policy Committee, that is MPC, meeting in Abuja. Kikelomo Okere has the details.
The Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Olayemi Cardoso explained that the decision to maintain the current monetary policy rate was premised on the need to continue to ensure the ongoing disinflation while vigorously ensuring decline prices. The Apex Bank retained the monetary policy rate at 27.50%, maintaining the asymmetric corridor around MPR at plus 500 to minus 100 basis points, retained the cash reserve ratio CRR for deposit money banks at 50% and the merchant bank at 16%, keeps the liquidity ratio unchanged at 30%.
Given the persistent uncertainty in the policy environment and underlying price pressures, monetary policy will need to maintain its current stance until risks to inflation recede sufficiently.
The committee also acknowledged the decline in the headline inflation in June 2025, the third consecutive month of deceleration. This was largely driven by the moderation in the energy prices and stability in the foreign exchange market. Despite this positive development, members observed the uptick in the month-on-month headline inflation, suggesting the persistence of underlying pressure. The CBN boss also reveals that as of July 18, 2025, 2025, the nation's foreign reserves stood at $40.1 billion, which could provide import cover for 9.5 months. The MPC also noted that 8 banks have fully met the recapitalization requirement, while others are making progress towards meeting the deadline. The committee therefore urged the management of the bank to sustain its oversight of the banking system to ensure continued resilience, safety and soundness of the financial system, price and other developments.
Gross external reserves rose to $40.11 billion on July 18th, 2025, representing about 9.5 months of import cover for goods.
The Apex Bank says the Monetary Policy Committee will continue to undertake rigorous assessment of economic condition, price development, and outlook to inform future policy decisions. Kike Nomo Ukeri, Global Television News.
The House of Representatives has passed the 1.485 trillion naira appropriation bill for Rivers State for the 2025 fiscal year on Tuesday. The lawmakers, however, slashed 35 billion naira from the allocation earmarked for CCTV installations, gunboat purchase and surveillance contracts. National Assembly correspondent Anise Patrick reports.
At Tuesday's plenary, presided over by the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, the House considered and adopted the report of its ad hoc committee on Rivers State, chaired by Majority Leader Julius Ayobare, before reading the bill for the third time and passing it. Speaking during the consideration of the committee's report, Honorable Ayobare said the panel also redirected over 30 billion naira from the controversial security-related votes to other priority votes, insisting that the adjustments were necessary to ensure the prudent use of state resources. He stated that the budget allocates 256.42 billion naira for personnel, 162.58 billion naira for overhead, and 1.06 trillion naira for capital expenditure for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025.
The bill for an act authorized the issue from the Rivers State Government Statutory Revenue Fund of the Rivers State account the total sum of 1,485,692,592,444 naira, read third time and pass.
The decision followed earlier concerns by the ad hoc committee over several allocations, including 24 billion naira for CCTV at the Government House and 30 billion naira for gunboats, which the panel queried during budget defense.
But we are not preparing interest for the administrator to spend. Our government is continual. At any time, like you have rightly said, we do not pray for any extension, but if it becomes inevitable, it was purposely on the issue that there was no governance because there was no budget. And the Supreme Court ordered that those democratic provisions should be restored. And that also reflected in Mr. President's speech when he declared emergency. So what the administrator brought is a budget that constitutionally is to have a lifespan of 1 year.
Recall that President Bola Tinubu had initially forwarded the 1.48 trillion naira Rivers State appropriation bill to the National Assembly for consideration in May for urgent intervention to restore governance and accelerate development in Rivers State. The president stated that the budget aims to address development challenges in Rivers State, specifically in the areas of infrastructure, education, healthcare, agriculture, and security. Annie Patrick, Global Television News.
The federal government has inaugurated the governing board of the National Automotive Development Council, that is NADDC, to strengthen the council's capacity to effectively oversee the drive and the development of the Nigerian automotive industry. The Minister of State for Trade and Investment, Senator John Owan Eno, charged members of the newly constituted board to reposition Nigeria's automotive sector for industrial development and global relevance. Ubong Usoro has the details.
The National Automotive Development Council was focused on promoting local manufacturing, enhancing industry's contribution to national economy, as well as fostering sustainable development in the automotive sector. the Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Senator John Owan Eno, emphasized the need to revive local vehicle production, attract fresh investment into the automotive manufacturing, and drastically reduce Nigeria's reliance on imported vehicles. He says the inauguration signals a renewed commitment by the government to transform Nigeria's automotive sector into a job-creating and revenue-generating industry.
I urge you to approach your duties with dedication, with diligence, and forward-thinking approach without interference in the day-to-day administration of the council. I charge this board with the following key responsibilities: strategic planning, policy formulation, stakeholder engagement, infrastructure development, skills development, attracting investment, promoting local content, promoting CNG and electric vehicles. It's so important.
In his remark, Chairman of the Governing Council, Chief Emma Enoko, pledged the board's full support for the federal government industrialization efforts.
Our task is to work with patriotic resolve and strategic foresight to reposition Nigeria as a major hub for automotive manufacturing assembly.
The Council is saddled with the responsibility of implementing the National Automotive Industry Development Plan (NAIDP), aimed at boosting local production, setting industry standards, promoting parts manufacturing, and facilitating technology transfer. Obon Osoro for Global TV.
In on the foreign scene, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has described the devastation in Gaza as a horror show with no parallel in recent times. His comments come amid intensified Israeli bombardment, a collapsing health system and a rising fear of famine. Mukhtar Kasim has the details.
The humanitarian crisis in Gaza continues to deepen. Local authorities say more than 38,000 people have been killed as Israeli bombardments escalate and aid efforts face major obstacles. At a United Nations Security Council briefing in New York, Secretary General Antonio Guterres painted a grim picture of conditions in the territory, calling it one of the worst humanitarian disasters in modern history.
Around the world, we see an utter disregard for, if not outright violation of, international law, including international human rights law, international refugee law, international humanitarian law, and the UN Charter itself, without any accountability.
Guterres condemned what he called systematic denial of humanitarian access. He warned that critical supplies like food, medicine, and fuel are being blocked, while aid workers operate in increasingly unsafe conditions. The World Health Organization says its facilities were struck in Dar al-Bala. UNICEF has also warned that Gaza is now one of the most dangerous places on earth for children. The United Nations Relief and Work Agency for Palestinian Refugees in the Near East reports that over 170 of its staff have died since the war began, its highest toll in any conflict.
These failures to uphold international obligations are coming at a time of widening geopolitical divides and conflicts. And the cost is staggering, measured in human lives, shattered communities, and lost futures. We need look no further than the horror show in Gaza, with a level of death and destruction without parallel in recent time.
The UN chief stressed that a ceasefire must go on beyond halting violence. It must allow aid to flow and pave the way for a long-term political solution. With Gaza edging closer to famine, Guterres urged world powers not to turn away, warning that millions remain trapped in a cycle of fear, hunger, and death. Mukhtar Kasim, reporting for Global Television.
Now to the world of sport, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has hailed the Super Falcons for reaching the final of the Women's African Cup of Nations after the dramatic 2-1 victory over Bayana of South Africa in yesterday's semi-final in Casablanca, Morocco. The president, in a post on his X handle, described the team's performance as a magnificent display of grit, talent, and the indomitable Nigerian spirit. He said the players had made the nation proud with the effort. The men's single defending champion of the Central Bank of Nigeria Senior Men and Women National Tennis Championship, Daniel Adeniyi, handed a 2-0 defeat to Ian Silvanus by beating him 6-3, 3-6, 6-3 to book his ticket for the second round, while Kanje Elisha lost 1-6, 3-6 to upcoming star Shehu Ogunsokin. Also, victory was Endurance Ehimose, who triumphed 2-1 over Morokio Akinwale, beating him 7-6, 6-1 to advance into the third round. As Global TV News Prime comes to an end, let's take a look at our top stories. President Bola Tinubu has written to Senate requesting the confirmation of Professor Yusuf Muhammad Yusuf as a commissioner of the Nigerian Law Reform Commission. And in business, Central Bank of Nigeria has retained its benchmark interest rate, monetary policy rate at 27.5%, citing underlying pressure on prices of goods and services, as well as continued global uncertainty. And on the foreign scene, the United Kingdom government has revealed details of its plan to cut foreign aid, with support for children's education and women's health in Africa facing the biggest reduction. And in sport, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has hailed the Super Falcons for reaching the final of the Women's African Cup of Nations after their dramatic 2-1 victory over Bayana of South Africa in yesterday's semi-finals in Casablanca, Morocco. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Thank you for watching.